So, friends, the insanity and depravity of the Trump administration and the Department of Justice continues with news that the number 2 guy at DOJ, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanch, Donald Trump's former criminal defense attorney, will be paying a little visit to Jeffrey Epstein's convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, to, see who she might be able to implicate. Now, there is no reporting as to whether Todd Blanch will or will not discuss with Maxwell at this little sit-down the possibility of a presidential pardon. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, the Trump administration can't seem to stop the bleeding, the bad press, the damage surrounding the Epstein files and the seemingly never-ending cover-up. So they've come up with a new absurd scheme. We're gonna go talk to Jeffrey Epstein's convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, because I'm sure she's going to say that Donald Trump is squeaky clean. He did nothing wrong, and that will put the whole thing to rest. No, it won't. But here's the new reporting about Trump and Bondi's latest pathetic attempt to fool the gullible. This from the New Republic. Headline: DOJ tries to use Ghislaine Maxwell to put out MAGA fire on Epstein. The Justice Department is trying another tactic to quell MAGA rage over the Epstein files. As Donald Trump seeks to allay public outcry over the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, a top Justice Department official vowed Tuesday to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, the convicted Epstein accomplice currently serving out a 20-year sentence for her role in the late financier's sex trafficking operation. In a statement on X, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanch announced, "I have communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she would be willing to speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ms. Maxwell in the coming days." The Deputy Attorney General promised to hear out information Maxwell may have about anyone who has committed crimes against victims. In a follow-up post, Blanche added, "For the first time, the Department of Justice is reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell to ask, 'What do you know?'" Friends, please put a pin in that. For the first time, DOJ is trying to talk to Maxwell. In response, FBI Director Kash Patel approvingly wrote, "Get it." David Oscar Marcus, a lawyer for Maxwell, confirmed on X, quote, "that we are in discussions with the government and that Ghislaine will always testify truthfully. We are grateful to President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case." Close quote. Okay, friends, a couple of things to unpack here. First of all, having worked inside the Department of Justice for decades, do you know who sits down with witnesses? Do you know who sits down with defendants, particularly convicted defendants who might now be looking for a benefit from the government, from the prosecutors, for information they can provide about the crimes of others? Or maybe looking for a benefit for information they have that they decline to provide to the prosecutors? The person who sits down with witnesses and defendants is the lead prosecutor in the case, because it is the lead prosecutor who knows the evidence like the back of her hand. She lived and breathed the Epstein and Maxwell cases. The lead prosecutor should be the one, really the only one, who's in a position to sit down with a convicted defendant. And who would the lead prosecutor be in the Epstein and Maxwell cases? Well, that would be Maureen Comey, who was just fired by Pam Bondi. Boy, that's a heck of a coincidence there, isn't it? Right when the decision is made to talk to Maxwell, the person, really the only person perfectly positioned to sit down and talk with Maxwell and evaluate the credibility or incredibility of what she has to say, Maureen Comey, that person is fired. Second takeaway, not long ago, Attorney General Pam Bondi made a big deal about this 2-page FBI memo saying that after an exhaustive review of the evidence in the Epstein case, gosh, there's just nobody else to investigate. Just no other evidence that anybody else was involved or committed any crimes. Yeah. Okay, Pam. Yeah, that was DOJ's attempt, 3 or 4 attempts ago to try to shut down the Epstein thing. Well, look, everybody, there's a 2-page memo here, authored by, FBI, headed up by Kash Patel, and vouched for by Pam Bondi. Exhaustive review, nothing else to see here, nobody else to charge. I guess nobody else was involved in Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's crimes. Case closed. Everybody look away. Yeah, of course, that didn't work. Here's a little bit of reporting about that from NPR. The Justice Department and the FBI have found no evidence that disgraced financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein had a client list or that he blackmailed prominent associates. The conclusions are included in a 2-page memo outlining the exhaustive review the department conducted of the Epstein files in its possession. That same month, she, Pam Bondi, told Fox News in an interview that Epstein's client list was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review. More than 4 months later, the department memo directly contradicts her, Pam Bondi. Quote, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions, the memo says. Quote, we did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Close quote. Okay, so Pam Bondi assures us that after a thorough, exhaustive review of all of the evidence, gosh, there's just nobody else that we could investigate for being involved in this enormous Epstein conspiracy. But wait a minute, Pam. Your exhaustive investigative efforts didn't include talking to or attempting to talk to Jeffrey Epstein's closest criminal associate, convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, who clearly would know where all the bodies are buried, figuratively speaking. You didn't even talk to her before reaching a conclusion that nobody else could be investigated? There wasn't evidence that anybody else was involved in this. And we know you didn't talk to her because Todd Blanch just posted, quote, for the first time, the Department of Justice is reaching out to Ghislaine Maxwell to ask, what do you know? Close quote. You see the shell game they're playing here, friends? I mean, everything these people say is contradicted by everything else these people say. Okay, let's finish with this bit of related breaking news. House Speaker MAGA Mike Johnson just shut Congress down early to help protect Donald Trump, to try to stop the tsunami of bad press and bad news surrounding the Epstein files. Here is some of the new reporting from the Financial Times. Headline: Mike Johnson shuts U.S. House early to avoid Epstein vote. U.S. House Speaker Mike Johnson will send members of Congress home early to avoid a vote on releasing files relating to Jeffrey Epstein as Donald Trump's allies seek to contain a spiraling crisis. Because nothing screams transparency like shutting down Congress to avoid transparency. You know, friends, this method of governing is not sustainable. Something's got to give. I just hope to hell it's not our democracy. Because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.